Hey guys, all right, so we've got a new Explorer problem we're going to take a look at today. So it says Mr. King's classroom is doing an art project with cutout shapes. They have 1,250 triangles, 1,745 squares, and 2,307 rectangles. Now there's 22 kids in this class, and if they all get the same number of shapes, how many will they each get? Now some of you out there may have thought about, all right, they get the same number of triangles, the same number of squares, the same number of rectangles. It doesn't technically say that. So for me, I wouldn't necessarily be that specific with it. Just says they get the same number of shapes, not the same number of each type of shape. So that's kind of a tricky one. It could be interpreted either way. Generally speaking, when you're looking at a problem like that, if the person didn't do that good of a job writing it out to be very specific, I would go with the easiest way to interpret the problem. So let's see. So for me, the easiest way, instead of doing 3 steps of division, I'd probably put all of those shapes together. So we had 1,250, we had 1,745, and then we had 2,307. So when we put all of those together, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 10, 13, carry the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we end up with 5,302 shapes, okay? Now, with those 5,302 shapes, okay, they're breaking it up evenly between the 22 kids in the class. Now, again, I don't know my 22s. So I know 1 times 22 is 22. Another group of 22 is going to make 44. Another group of 22 is going to make 66. Another group of 22 is going to make 88. And why not? Well, let's do one more, just for the fun of it, because I enjoy adding things up. So that makes 110. So 5 times 22 is 110. So taking a look, now I'm going to do the same things that we did yesterday. I'm trying to figure out how many shapes each kid's going to get. So I'm breaking up this 5,302 shapes into 22 equal size piles for these kids. And then I want to know how many shapes do they actually get out of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at this 22 and I'm trying to figure out what can I multiply it by to get up to these numbers. And I'd like to multiply by the largest number possible, okay? Yeah, I could multiply it by 2 and say 44, and I could subtract 44. And I could do that over and over and over and over and over again. And eventually I'll figure it out. Just like I could just keep subtracting 22 at a time. That's painstakingly long, though. So the whole point of this and the whole reason why we built this ladder is so that we can make bigger chunks all at once. So I'm looking for something that's going to get me close to these numbers. So I can't get close to 5. 53 would be my next number. And look, right here, 44 is decently close to that. So if I multiply 22 times 2, that gets me to 44. If I multiply it times 20, it would get me to 440. And if I multiply by 200, it'll get me to 4,400. Now I can go through and do my subtraction. 2, 0, let's see, 4 and 13. So I only have 902 shapes left. So I've already given every kid 200 shapes. I have 902 left that I'm still dividing up. So I look, what's the closest I can get to 902? So looking over here, 88 is awfully close to 90. 88 is when I multiply by 4. So if I multiply by 4, I get to 88, but I want to get closer. I want to get 880. That's times 40. Now when I do this subtraction, 2 and 90 minus 88 is another 2. Well, this is easy. Okay, I've given the kids 240 shapes. There's 22 left. There's 22 kids. Everybody gets 1 more shape. When we do that division and subtract, I have 0 shapes left. And taking a look over here, every kid gets 241 shapes. Okay, didn't worry about whether it was triangles, squares, or rectangles. Just the total number of shapes. That's all it asked for. 241. All right, we're going to take a look at one more problem, and I can guarantee you it's going to be an odd one that you're probably going to want to have that ladder built for. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Let's get rid of this. Boom. And this time we're going to do 7,776. Yeah, not 4 7. Sorry. It was so close. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're dividing it into groups of 24 or into 24 groups, depending on whatever the story actually is that we're looking at. So my goal here is to figure out how many times does 24 go into 7,776. Now, you can hit pause and you can try this if you want, and then you can check it along as we go, or you can watch and use this as a model. You could put this in your notebook and you could be adding it so you can have it to refer back to, so that every single time you want to do division with a 2-digit number, you don't always have to rewatch the video. Okay, so my first step is build the ladder because I don't know my 24 facts. So 24 times 1 is 24. A second group of 24 is 48. So 2 times 24, two groups of 24 is 48. Another group of 24, okay, that's 72. So that's 3 groups. And another group of 24, because I normally, if I can, like to get either up to 5 or 6 or 4 or 5, or at least make it up to 100 over here. So I'm at 96 right now. It's close enough. I'm stopping there. So now let's take a look. I've got 24. I'm trying to get 7,776 things divided into that. So let's see. I could do this one right here, 72. That's awfully close to these numbers right here. So I do times 3. So 24 times 3 is 72. But I want to get closer. Although if I'm only taking away 72, if I was only taking away 72, I'd be writing it here, and I'd still have over 7,700 left. That seems rough. Let's go ahead and take it away from here, because what I can do instead is actually take away 7,200 by multiplying by 300. Okay. Now when I subtract this, 6, 7, 5, I only have 576 left. So look at that. We've already gotten rid of 7,200. We've already put 300 into each of those groups of 24. Now that we're down to 576, I notice 48 is very close to 57. So let's see, that would be times 2, right? So times 2 is 48. I'd like it to be 480, so we're really multiplying by 20. 6, and 4, and now I'm down to 96. Well, it's a good thing I went as far as I did, because taking a look at it, I know that I can go ahead and multiply by 4, which is 96. If I hadn't gone this far, let's say for a second I hadn't gone that far. I only knew up to 72. Okay, if that's all I knew, then that's what I would put down now. I would say, all right, times 3 is 72. Then I would subtract and have 24 left. Then I could go through and say, oh, 24, well, times by 1 more. 24 and subtract, and now I have nothing left. And I would add these up. And notice this little piece right here is the same thing as 4. So having that extra one there was nice. It would have saved me the trouble. But if I don't go too far with my ladder, I can get it with smaller pieces too. So let's see, 3 plus 1 is 4, 0 plus 2 is 2, and 3 plus nothing is 3. So when I take 7,776 and I try and divide it equally into 24 pieces, okay, that's what this top part says, I would end up with 324 in each of those groups. That's what this part is over here. This is how many groups I was able to make. All right. So hopefully that with yesterday's work and today continuing to practice it, it's going to make more and more sense. So again, if you're still struggling with this, please stop off at office hours, ask for help. We can go through different problems. We can explain it over and over again. We can explain it where you can ask questions back and forth. Don't just sit at home saying you don't understand. Now, the last thing I will say is I know lots of parents at home who are looking at this may say this sounds crazy, but if you were really thinking about what I was doing on the side over here, it's probably the same thing that you did when you were a kid, but you did those numbers up along here. The whole purpose of this, parents, is so that they can see when we're putting the numbers up here later on in 6th grade, where those numbers came from, okay? That's the whole purpose of doing it this longer way, is that we get a better understanding of what's really happening with division, so that it locks in a little bit more, makes a little more sense to them than just putting the numbers up here and not attaching a place value idea to them. Okay, so if your parents are at home and they're trying to help out and they're not quite getting this, that's all right. They might run the numbers along the top, but hopefully if they watch these videos, they'll start understanding why we're putting these numbers along the side here for the subtraction. Okay, and hopefully it's not too out of the ordinary for them so that they can help out. If they can't, come to office hours. All right, so hopefully this will work well for you. You get another day of practicing. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at doing a quick quiz, maybe about 5 questions over division, just to see how we're doing with it. It'll only count as a classwork grade, but I definitely need to know how you're doing. All right, so good luck with it today. You're not sure, if you need a little help, stop by and get help. All right, have a good day.